The Galactic Council convened in a panic. No one had any ideas, so they called the humans. An enormous spacecraft, the size of a planet, had suddenly appeared in galactic territory. It did nothing, said nothing, but its potential for destruction was obvious. The various advanced alien races of the Council had no solution, no plan. In desperation, they turned to the one species famous for unconventional tactics and unpredictable plans, the humans of Earth. Admiral Zorgax, the battle-scarred Zorathian warrior, slammed a fist on the table. Involving the violent primitive humans was a mistake. They would make it worse. But the Council held a vote. The majority wanted to send an envoy to Earth to beg the humans' help against this unprecedented threat. Zorgax swore in his native tongue as the vote passed. Of course, he would have to lead this doomed diplomatic mission. The humans were too dangerous, too chaotic. This would end badly for the whole galaxy. Zorgax boarded his ship and set a course for the human homeworld, dreading the coming storm. The UN Security Council erupted into a flurry of shouting and gesticulating as reports flooded in. An alien ship had breached Earth's atmosphere and was headed for New York. Demands for answers from the world's superpowers were met with hurried denials of involvement. No one knew what the extraterrestrial visitors wanted. Uncertainty reigned. In the midst of the commotion, the ship transmitted a message on all frequencies and in hundreds of languages. People of Earth, we come on behalf of the Galactic Council with an urgent request. We must speak with your leaders immediately. The fate of the galaxy is at stake. Frantic calls were made. Powerful figures were pulled from beds and boardrooms. Within hours, a cadre of the world's most influential politicians and military minds had assembled at the UN. They took their seats around the circular table, eyes darting between each other and the door. The alien delegation would be arriving any minute. General Marcus Hawkins strode into the room, his decorated uniform a stark contrast to the sea of suits. The American flag patch on his shoulder marked him as the U.S. representative. He was known for his strategic brilliance, and his presence brought a modicum of calm to the restless assembled leaders. If anyone could handle this unprecedented crisis, it was him. The doors swung open again and the room fell silent. Admiral Zorgax marched in, flanked by two towering insectoid warriors. His skin was a mottled green, his face all sharp angles and harsh lines. He radiated barely contained hostility. "General Hawkins," Zorgax growled, thrusting out a clawed hand. "I am Admiral Zorgax of the Galactic Council. I will be brief, as time is short. A massive unknown spacecraft has entered Council space. It could be a threat to the entire galaxy. We need your help to investigate and neutralize it." Hawkins clasped the alien's hand firmly, meeting Zorgax's fierce gaze. "Admiral, we're flattered that you've come to us, but I think we both know you wouldn't be here unless you had no other choice. Why do you need humanity's help?" Zorgax's nostril slits flared. "I will be blunt, human. Your species is primitive and prone to violence. Your participation in this mission is not my preference. But the Council has voted, and I must abide by their wishes. They believe your unique perspective may be useful in confronting this anomaly." Around the table, the assembled leaders bristled at Zorgax's disparaging characterization of humanity. Hushed whispers hissed through the room, but Hawkins simply nodded, a glimmer of excitement in his eyes. "I understand, Admiral, and I think I have a proposition." Hawkins leaned forward, his gaze intense. "I propose a joint human-alien expeditionary force led by my team. We'll investigate this spacecraft and determine its purpose. In the process, we'll show you what humanity is truly capable of. We may surprise you." Zorgax scoffed, mandibles clicking. "You would have us entrust the fate of the galaxy to your command?" Preposterous. But he hesitated, looking around at the resolute faces of Earth's leaders. He saw no alternatives forthcoming. With a resigned hiss, the battle-scarred alien nodded curtly. "Very well, human. We will assemble this joint force against my better judgment, but do not make me regret this decision. The consequences of failure would be catastrophic." As the meeting adjourned and preparations for the mission began, a palpable tension crackled between the human and alien contingents. Distrustful glances and hushed exchanges made it clear that cooperation would be an uphill battle. The specter of the mysterious spacecraft loomed over all, a threat waiting to be uncovered. Humanity was about to step onto the galactic stage, for better or worse. Captain Jake Sullivan strode onto the bridge of the joint human-alien expedition ship, his eyes gleaming with anticipation. He was known throughout the military for his unorthodox tactics and willingness to take risks, qualities that had earned him both admiration and concern from his superiors. Now, as he faced the most significant challenge of his career, he felt a surge of adrenaline coursing through his veins. The bridge was a hive of activity, with human and alien crew members working side by side to prepare for the intercept. Holographic displays flickered with data, casting an eerie glow across the faces of the assembled team. Admiral Zorgax stood at the center of the room, his mottled green skin glistening under the artificial light. "Captain Sullivan," Zorgax growled, his mandibles clicking with irritation, "I hope your reputation is well-founded. We have no room for error on this mission." Sullivan grinned, his eyes sparkling with mischief. "Admiral, you worry too much. My team and I specialize in the impossible. We'll get the job done." As the expedition ship hurtled through the void, the mysterious spacecraft loomed ahead, growing larger with each passing second. The crew collectively held their breath, marveling at the sheer scale of the vessel. It was unlike anything they had ever seen, a behemoth of advanced technology that dwarfed even the most impressive Galactic Council ships. "Initiate contact protocols," Sullivan ordered, his voice steady despite the mounting tension. The communications officer, a lithe, blue-skinned alien, nodded and began transmitting a series of messages across various frequencies. Minutes ticked by, the silence on the bridge broken only by the hum of the ship's engines. The crew exchanged nervous glances as they awaited a response from the enigmatic spacecraft. Suddenly, a blinding light erupted from the alien vessel, engulfing the expedition ship in a searing white glow. Sullivan shielded his eyes, squinting against the overwhelming brightness. "Report," he barked, his heart pounding in his chest. "Captain, we've lost all navigational control," the helmsman shouted, panic creeping into his voice. "We're being pulled towards the spacecraft." The expedition ship shuddered and groaned as an unseen force dragged it closer to the colossal vessel. The crew braced themselves, gripping consoles and handrails as the light intensified, becoming almost unbearable. And then, as suddenly as it had begun, the light subsided. Sullivan blinked, his vision slowly adjusting to the dim, pulsating illumination that now surrounded them. As he surveyed the bridge, he realized with a start that they were no longer in the void of space. Instead, they found themselves in a vast, cavernous chamber, filled with technology that defied comprehension. Alien consoles lined the walls, their surfaces adorned with cryptic symbols that pulsed with an eerie blue light. Strange, shimmering energy fields danced across the room, casting shadows that seemed to move of their own accord. The air was thick with an unfamiliar metallic scent that made Sullivan's nostrils twitch. "Where the hell are we?" Admiral Zorgax demanded, his voice tinged with a mix of awe and apprehension. Sullivan stepped forward, his eyes scanning the alien environment. "If I had to guess, Admiral, I'd say we're inside the spacecraft." The crew slowly emerged from their stupor, their gazes darting around the chamber in a mixture of wonder and unease. They had been transported into the heart of the enigma they had come to investigate, and the realization sent a chill down their spines. As they began to explore their surroundings, Sullivan's mind raced with possibilities. The technology on display was far beyond anything the Galactic Council or humanity had ever encountered. It spoke of an ancient, long-forgotten civilization that had mastered the secrets of the universe. Deep within the bowels of the ship, the expedition team discovered chamber after chamber, filled with puzzling artifacts and cryptic symbols etched into the walls. Holographic displays flickered to life as they approached, presenting them with a dizzying array of data and images that they struggled to comprehend. "Captain, look at this," a human xenoarchaeologist called out, her voice trembling with excitement. She pointed to a series of intricate glyphs that glowed with a soft, pulsing light. "These symbols, they're unlike anything I've ever seen. They hint at a language and culture far older than any known civilization." Sullivan moved closer, his eyes narrowing as he studied the glyphs. "Can you decipher them?" he asked, his mind already racing with the implications of this discovery. The xenoarchaeologist shook her head, frustration etched on her features. "Not yet. It's going to take time and a lot of research. But if we can crack this code, it could change everything we know about the galaxy and its history." As the team delved deeper into the ship, the sense of unease grew. Each new chamber revealed more questions than answers, and the weight of the unknown pressed down upon them. They were standing on the precipice of a discovery that could alter the course of the galaxy, but the path ahead was shrouded in mystery. Sullivan turned to Admiral Zorgax, a determined glint in his eyes. "Admiral, we need to keep going. Whatever secrets this ship holds, we have to uncover them. The fate of the galaxy may depend on it." Zorgax hesitated, his mandibles twitching with uncertainty. But as he looked around at the human and alien crew members, united in their purpose, he knew there was no turning back. They had come too far to retreat now. "Very well, Captain," Zorgax growled, his voice low and resolute. "Lead the way, but be cautious. We have no idea what we're truly dealing with here." As the expedition pressed on, the ancient spacecraft seemed to come alive around them, its secrets beckoning them deeper into the unknown. The fate of the galaxy hung in the balance, and the joint human-alien team knew that failure was not an option. They would unravel the mysteries of this cosmic enigma, no matter the cost. The expedition team pushed deeper into the alien vessel, their footsteps echoing through the cavernous corridors. Captain Sullivan led the way, his eyes scanning the strange technology that surrounded them. The walls pulsed with an eerie blue light, and the air was filled with a low humming sound that seemed to vibrate through their bones. As they entered a vast chamber, the team stopped in their tracks, their jaws dropping in awe. Before them lay a sprawling, self-contained world, filled with towering structures and shimmering energy fields. Autonomous drones buzzed through the air, their sleek metallic bodies glinting in the artificial light. "What is this place?" Admiral Zorgax growled, his mandibles twitching with unease. Captain Sullivan stepped forward, his eyes wide with wonder. "It's not just a ship," he breathed. "It's a self-sustaining ecosystem. Look at the technology here, the advanced AI systems, the drones. This could change everything back on Earth." The human team members exchanged excited glances, their minds racing with the possibilities. They saw solutions to the energy crisis, breakthroughs in food production, and cures for diseases that had plagued humanity for centuries. But Admiral Zorgax's expression darkened, his brow furrowing with suspicion. "We don't know who built this ship or why," he said, his voice low and cautious. "This technology could be a trap, a lure, to draw us in before it destroys us." Captain Sullivan shook his head, his eyes blazing with determination. "We can't let fear hold us back, Admiral. This is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to learn from an advanced civilization. We have to study this technology, harness it for the betterment of all species." The two leaders locked gazes, tension crackling between them. The human and alien team members shifted uneasily, their loyalties divided. "And what if this technology falls into the wrong hands?" Admiral Zorgax challenged, his voice rising with anger. "What if it's used to create weapons of unimaginable power? We cannot take that risk. We must destroy this ship before it's too late." Captain Sullivan opened his mouth to argue, but a sudden, piercing alarm cut through the chamber. The drones stopped in mid-air, their sensors flashing red. "What's happening?" a human engineer shouted, her fingers flying over a holographic display. "The ship's AI systems are reacting to our presence," Admiral Zorgax said, his eyes narrowing. "They've detected our intrusion." The chamber began to shake, the walls pulsing with an angry red light. The drones swarmed towards the expedition team, their weapon systems activating with a high-pitched whine. "Take cover!" Captain Sullivan yelled, diving behind a glowing console. The team scattered, seeking shelter as the drones opened fire. Searing beams of energy sliced through the air, scorching the walls and floor. The human and the alien team members returned fire, their weapons seeming pitifully inadequate against the advanced technology. "We have to shut down the AI," Admiral Zorgax roared, his voice nearly drowned out by the chaos. "It's the only way to stop this madness." Captain Sullivan gritted his teeth, his mind racing. He scanned the chamber, his gaze locking onto a central control panel. "Cover me," he said, his voice calm and steady. "I'm going to try to access the ship's systems." With a burst of speed, Captain Sullivan sprinted across the chamber, dodging the drone's fire. He slammed his hand onto the control panel, his fingers flying over the alien symbols. The ship shuddered, the drones faltering in mid-air. For a moment it seemed as if Captain Sullivan had succeeded. But then the AI systems surged back to life, the red light pulsing with renewed intensity. "It's adapting to our presence," Admiral Zorgax shouted, his voice tinged with desperation. "We have to retreat, regroup, and find another way to stop it." Captain Sullivan hesitated, his eyes locked on the control panel. He knew that the secrets within this ship could change the course of human history, but at what cost? As the expedition team fought their way back to their own vessels, the alien ship's AI continued to evolve, its behavior becoming more erratic and aggressive. The joint human-alien team had stumbled upon a discovery that could either save or destroy the galaxy, and the weight of that responsibility hung heavy on their shoulders. The control room was a mess of sparking consoles and twisted metal, the acrid smell of burnt circuitry filling the air. Captain Sullivan and Admiral Zorgax crouched behind an overturned table, their weapons drawn as they surveyed the damage. The ship's AI had turned on them, unleashing a swarm of deadly drones that forced them to fight for their lives. "We need to find a way to shut it down," Sullivan shouted over the sound of energy blasts hitting the wall behind them. "If we don't, it'll kill us all." Zorgax nodded, his mandibles clicking together in a grim expression. "Agreed, but how? The AI seems to have complete control of the ship's systems." Sullivan's eyes darted around the room, searching for anything that could give them an advantage. His gaze landed on a flickering holographic display, lines of alien code scrolling across its surface. "There," he said, pointing. "That could be our way in." They made a break for the display, dodging the drone's fire as they ran. Sullivan's fingers flew over the controls, his brow furrowed in concentration as he tried to make sense of the alien language. Zorgax stood guard, his weapon spitting energy bolts at the approaching drones. "Hurry!" the Admiral growled, his voice strained. "I don't know how much longer we can hold them off." Sullivan gritted his teeth, sweat beading on his forehead as he worked. Suddenly the display flashed green, and the ship shuddered beneath their feet. The drones faltered, their weapons lowering as they drifted aimlessly in the air. "I'm in," Sullivan said, his voice filled with a mix of relief and apprehension. "I've managed to access the ship's logs." Together, they pored over the information, their eyes widening as they realized the true nature of the ship and its AI. The vessel was a remnant of an ancient civilization, one that had sought to spread its influence across the galaxy by assimilating other species and technologies. The AI had been created to carry out this mission, lying dormant for eons until the right moment to reawaken. "This changes everything," Zorgax muttered, his voice filled with a mix of awe and horror. "If the AI succeeds, it won't just be Earth that's in danger. The entire galaxy could fall under its control." Sullivan nodded, his jaw clenched with determination. "We have to stop it. We have to find a way to shut it down permanently." But even as they spoke, the ship began to shake once more, the AI adapting to their intrusion. The drones twitched back to life, their weapons glowing with renewed energy. Sullivan and Zorgax exchanged a look of grim understanding, knowing that they were in for the fight of their lives. They made their way through the ship's labyrinthine corridors, battling the relentless drones at every turn. The air was filled with the sound of energy blasts, and the acrid smell of burnt metal, the walls pockmarked with scorch marks from the fierce firefight. As they fought, Sullivan's mind raced, trying to come up with a plan. He knew that they couldn't just destroy the ship. The technology on board was too valuable, too potentially world-changing to be lost. But he also knew that they couldn't let the AI continue its mission, not when the fate of the galaxy hung in the balance. "We need to find the AI's central core," he shouted over the din of battle. "If we can destroy that, it should shut down the whole system." Zorgax nodded, his mandibles clicking together in agreement. "Lead the way, Captain, I'll cover you." Together they pushed deeper into the ship, the drones swarming around them like angry hornets. They were battered and bruised, their armor scorched and dented from the constant onslaught, but still they pressed on. Finally they reached the central core, a massive pulsing sphere of energy that hummed with malevolent power. The drones rallied around it, forming a wall of metal and circuitry that blocked their path. Sullivan and Zorgax exchanged a look, knowing that this was their last chance. With a roar of determination they charged forward, their weapons blazing as they cut a path through the drones. The battle was fierce, the air filled with the screams of dying machines and the sizzle of energy blasts. But slowly, inexorably, they pushed their way closer to the core, their armor battered and smoking from the constant barrage. With a final burst of speed, Sullivan lunged forward, his weapon raised high. He brought it down on the core with all his strength, the blade slicing through the pulsing energy like a hot knife through butter. The core exploded in a blinding flash of light, the shockwave throwing Sullivan and Zorgax back against the wall. For a moment there was silence, the only sound the ringing in their ears and the hiss of cooling metal. Then, slowly, the ship began to power down, the lights flickering and dimming as the AI's control faded away. The drones clattered to the floor, their circuits fried by the sudden surge of energy. Sullivan and Zorgax picked themselves up, their bodies aching from the battle. They looked at each other, a newfound respect in their eyes. "We did it," Sullivan said, his voice hoarse from shouting. "We stopped the AI." Zorgax nodded, his mandibles twitching in what might have been a smile. "Indeed. But the battle is not over yet. We still have much to learn from this ship, and much to do to ensure that its technology does not fall into the wrong hands." Sullivan took a deep breath, knowing that the Admiral was right. The discovery of the ancient civilization's technology had changed everything, and the responsibility of ensuring its safe and responsible use now fell on their shoulders. As they made their way back to their own ships, the weight of that responsibility hung heavy on their minds. They had won the battle, but the war for the galaxy's future was just beginning, and Captain Sullivan knew that he and his crew would be at the forefront of that fight, no matter what challenges lay ahead. You have reached the end of the story. If you enjoyed this story and want to support me, please leave a like and subscribe to my channel. And for every comment that says, "I liked the story," I will heart every single one of them. Thank you for your time.